Well, I did a long day of disability exams, saw quite a few claimants 5 days ago, and if you're thinking about applying for disability or if you've been scheduled for a disability exam, you'll find this video helpful because I'm going to go over the lessons learned from that day. Hello, I'm John Foster. I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability exams, and as usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now, first I'm going to go over a person I saw who was claiming disability for injuries they'd suffered in an automobile accident. And in particular, they were having a lot of trouble with their left shoulder, which was quite painful and had limited range of motion. And they were using a brace for this shoulder, a TENS unit, which is an electrical stimulation unit that helps with musculoskeletal pain. And they were also taking oxycodone, 10 milligrams, 2 to 3 days a week. Oxycodone is a strong opioid. And they told me that the oxycodone did help with the pain, but it made them so drowsy that they voluntarily had decided to not drive on the day they took it. And I included this in my report because it's quite significant for Social Security. Any side effects of medication prescribed for your problems that limit your ability to work are considered a disability by Social Security, and strong pain medication that makes you drowsy, have trouble concentrating or remembering, should be included in your disability report. The second person I saw that was instructive had several problems that I went over, but while I was examining them, I noticed that their left hand was significantly deformed. They hadn't mentioned this in their disability application or when I was talking to them getting their medical history. It turned out that they'd had an infection here in the first web space of their hand that was quite severe. It required surgery and skin grafting. As a result of the infection and the surgery, they had very limited range of motion of the thumb and the index finger, the two most important fingers in the hand. And that's a significant work-related limitation in the ability to lift, carry, and handle things. And I see this all the time. People will have significant disabilities that they never mention. As I've said many times in the past, before you apply for disability, think about your whole body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes and list any condition that might limit your ability to work, no matter how minor. The next person that I saw illustrates another thing that I found regularly, which is an unexpected medical problem. I was examining a person who had fibromyalgia, and I listened to their chest, and their chest was quite congested. And chest congestion is not a manifestation of fibromyalgia. I asked them some more questions, and it turned out that they had a chest infection, either bronchitis or pneumonia. And they needed to see a doctor and probably get on antibiotics and one of those bronchodilator inhalers that people with asthma use. A long time ago, in the 80s, I was given a list of rules to always follow in the emergency department by one of my mentors. And the two of the rules were, first, patients are like packages. They should be inspected for hidden damage. And second is no fishing, no fish. And what those rules mean is that a careful examination of the whole patient, not just the part they're complaining of, will sometimes show you surprising problems that you hadn't been thinking about. The most dramatic example of this is a man I was examining for disability who was complaining of problems with their back and spine, and when I listened to their heart, it turned out that they had a very serious and dangerous heart valve problem called aortic stenosis that they had no idea that they had. And untreated aortic stenosis would likely have killed this person, who was in their early 50s, within 5 years. And most importantly, it's correctable by surgery. This is important for young doctors to understand because, like I say, young doctors today stare at their laptop and order tests. They rarely do a complete examination of the person. The next person I saw that had a lesson for people applying for disability was a person with multiple problems, and one of the problems they listed on their disability application was irritable bowel syndrome, but they'd given no details. So I asked them, what was it like for them? And when they described it, it turned out that they had the need for frequent bathroom breaks to have bowel movements, as many as 6 or 7 a day, and the bathroom breaks could last as long as 45 minutes. Again, this is very significant for Social Security, and I've heard Social Security attorneys say they've won disability claims based on the need for frequent bathroom breaks. Anything that results in frequent unexpected work stoppages or frequent unexpected absenteeism should be included in your disability application. A common example is migraine headaches. Now, migraines can range from mild. I get mild migraines, and I can and have worked while having migraines, to very severe, where the person is sweating and vomiting uncontrollably and needs to be in a darkened, soundproof room. And if you get disabling migraines, you need to indicate that. Don't just put on your application that you have migraine headaches. Say, for example, I get severe migraine headaches with frequent vomiting that last for 12 to 24 hours, and I get about 4 a month. That will definitely help your disability application. The last 2 examples sort of go together. The first was a person who had several different problems they were complaining of disability due to, and when I asked them to describe their problems, they looked around and said, "Oh, I don't know," and then lapsed into silence. And I got the same result when I asked them several different questions about the problems they listed in their disability application. Folks, doctors who do disability exams are not supposed to guess what's wrong with you or what your limitations are. And also, we're not mind readers. You need to provide a description of your problems in fairly great detail. Now, we do get some folks who are confused or not really with the program, but I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about completely alert people who just give very vague descriptions of their problems. It doesn't help your chances of being approved. The final person was sort of interesting. As soon as I'd introduced myself and explained how a consultative examination worked, they threatened me with violence, which really took me aback because I hadn't given them a hard time and I hadn't begun the exam and done anything painful, and they continued to make threats of violence. I probably should have refused to examine them and ask them to leave, and if they didn't leave, call the police. Now, when I did emergency medicine for 27 years, I frequently saw violent people, violent drunks, drug addicts, violent psychotic people, criminals. I even treated one serial killer, although he gave me no problems in the emergency department. But it's very odd to threaten violence during a disability exam. And the last two people go together. They are people who seemed to want to sabotage their disability application by making the doctor an antagonist instead of someone who wants to help them, and by not providing the necessary information. And from time to time, I've seen people like this, and they've been a great mystery to me. But I think I'm finally getting a handle on what's going on, and that's going to be the subject of my next video next Friday. Well, I hope this has been helpful. If you found it interesting, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I put out a disability-related video every Friday, and always remember, if it happens, it's possible.